It's me, Tartar's Queen Dragoness again. And it's been a while. It's been about a month since well, let's just call it for what it is, a bit of a crash out. Okay? Now, for the longest time, you know what, before I get onto it, this video is not going to be edited at all. Um, Period. It just doesn't need to be edited. So if you guys really like hate like long pauses or something like that, uh, I don't know what to tell you, because it takes a little bit for me to process this kind of some kind of information. Because this is going to be completely unscripted. Okay. You all know I hate scripted videos unless it's really, really something important. Okay. Now, even though that this video is pretty much going to be important, I wanted to make it as genuine as possible. Okay. I really do. Okay. So this is not going to be scripted at all. So it seems like well, not seems like, it has been a very tumultuous ride for the past month, even a little bit further than that, because of the fact that, you know, I've been fighting against people who are, I know people are tired of this term, transphobes. Okay. But the word transphobe nowadays is being used as a term for people who have a disagreement with other people, and it dilutes the very meaning of what a transphobe really is. Do I know that there are transphobes in Texas? I certainly do. As you all know, I do have another channel, and I actually do stream on Twitch, and now I stream on YouTube as well, under Tartar's Queen Dragoness VT. When I get a chance, I'll put the URL on the screen right here. But aside from enjoying my stuff over there on my VTuber channel, I like to talk about serious topics related to the whole trans issues here on this channel. Specifically for this one. On the other one, I just talk about, like, reacts, and then like games and stuff like that. So I want to keep those two separate. Okay. Now you're probably saying, "Oh no, that's typical grifter behavior." No, it's not. Because the mere thing about it is that everybody has a two-sided coin. One where they feel happy and enjoyable, and one where, in this case, I want to get down to earth and be a little bit more serious. Okay, and I want to be personal with people. Okay, over there I just have fun. I do like a few like shenanigans and stuff like that. And to be quite honest, I'm actually quite enjoying it, being a freaking VTuber. It is quite an experience, okay, to say the least. And also, being a VTuber also allows me to illustrate who I am on the inside, really, or who I want to be illustrated as. And as I've seen popping up more often, is that a lot of the people in the trans community are becoming VTubers more and more and more. because they have a caricature that pretty much represents who they are. And yes, I'm picking my nose because I haven't blown it correctly. Ew, disgusting. Um, but for the most part, people in the trans community are a little bit shy because, as you all know, we still keep our features as males, and they have like VTuber models and stuff like that to present how they feel and how they want to express themselves, which in the world of art is actually a very good thing. I think it is very imperative that people have some form of conduit or illustration of who they feel on the inside. And for the most part, my VTuber is doing great. So thank you to my artist. I know I haven't said thank you to my VTuber artists, but I'll gladly put their description or uh, their name on the screen when I get a chance. So thank you. Um, but yeah, aside from all the compliments and glazing and the upbringing of VTubers in the trans community, I think it goes to show that there are there is in fact bigotry, and it hasn't showed its ugly head until after the inauguration of the Trump administration. Uh, Now, as you might have well noticed, is that during the entire 4 years that the first term of the Trump administration had actually um, been off the radar, so to speak. We know he wasn't off the radar the entire time that Biden was in the administration. There was a bit of a culture war, and it's still going on even to this day. People have differing opinions about the trans community, and for the longest time, during the entire 4 years that Biden has been in office, people have pretty much, you know, people have been pretty much insinuating that the trans community is a bunch of like awful losers. Which, on this channel, I've been trying to fight against that type of rhetoric, but it's has gotten harder. It has gotten harder, and it has gotten even more difficult lately. Now that Trump is in office, and the whole thing about like transgenderism is still a thing of that's stuck in Donald Trump's mind, even with the mind of J.D. Vance. Now, for further clarification, at this point in time, there have been leaks of J.D. Vance and his personal activity. We all know that he's a gay person, and I find it extremely hilarious that a person that is part of the LGBT community is dogging on their own community by supporting a person who just really doesn't like trans people. And to all of you who think that the trans people think that they're disgusting, they're coming out of the woodwork, and they have actually surprised me. For the longest time, the rhetoric that trans people have been, awful, terrible people, was nothing more than a bunch of arrogant, ignorant, I wouldn't say transphobes. No. Complacent, more often than not, very privileged individuals that have set out propaganda that the trans community is awful. And they have pushed out people like Dylan Mulvaney, Jeffrey Marsh, Christian, and that other one that was pregnant. And that rhetoric has been pushed out very hard, painting a very dark picture of the trans community. And I myself, being a trans person myself, um, kind of fell into this idea that the trans community was this awful, terrible set of people. And now that President Trump has come and elected into office, they pretty much relaxed that rhetoric, but enough to the point where they still use the DEI excuse to eliminate the Department of Education. And we saw how that's going. We saw that excuse being used to reduce the funding and manpower of the Federal Aviation Association, the FAA. And as a result of that, we've had many tragedies because of that. The same thing with the health organization. Okay. Now, mind you, okay, I was going off on old information when it came to that video about the World Health Organization, because as of now, it seems that they have rolled back on that decision that transgenderism is an ideology to some extent, because there is some validity to the medical world of and neuroscience that, just like the people of the homosexual community, there might be something more than just an idealism. And for those that thought that I was hating on the trans community, I wasn't. I was just trying to make sure that, you know, the trans community is not a bunch of monsters. We really aren't. I mean, I've said myself that there are people in the trans community who are rightfully afraid, because now there is legitimacy to our, how I say, execution of our kind, for lack of better terminology. And after seeing all these VTubers and trans content creators coming out, I feel like for those people, okay, for those people, I do think I owe them an apology. I really do. I am not proud of the things that I've said, because I was angry. I was frustrated. I was emotional. And I bought into the fact that the trans community was just a bunch of crazy people. And I knew in my heart of hearts that that wasn't true, but I continued to sink deeper into that hole. But here's the thing. There is 2 VTubers that I'm going to put on the screen that have shown me that not everybody is like that. One of them being Shy Shiarian, I do believe. I know it's very hard to say your name, Shy. Okay, it really is hard to say your name. And there's like another like cat VTuber. Okay, it's not Nyara VT. Nyara VT is I have some questions about ERVT and her mental state. Because there are a number of people in the trans community who have seemingly, it's just not just ERVT, that somehow got roped into liking being calling out the victim card, so to speak. And that's a very dangerous path to go to. Um, it isn't just Yara, it is a number of other trans people out there that are pulling out the victim card. But I choose not to pull out the victim card. Okay, I choose it. There have been some iterations, including my crash out, where I have pulled out the victim card. Okay, I'm gonna be real. It is what it is. But for the most part, it's I was kind of shocked that there are very wholesome and sane VTubers. Now, I haven't seen a flesh tuber out there that has just, just come out and say the things that some of these VTubers are coming out with. But for the most part, it's a very, very positive site. But I just want to, number one, say I'm sorry to all those people that I might have thrown under the bus. Okay? This is not hate towards you. This is just frustration and anger. And being a person who lives in Texas, I fully am aware that I am at a very high disadvantage. I have seen a video from Brian Tyler Cohen. He came out and that they said that Texas is just a bunch of people who are, what is it called? Christian nationalism in Texas? Yeah. And they're overstepping their bounds as to what it means to run a government. Pretty much imposing their worldviews as part of Jesus' command to, make sure that love is in the correct order. Which, to be quite honest, it's not in the correct order. But at the same time, I understand that you could take love a little bit too far. Hence why I've always said that light always blinds you to the darkness within. It's the same thing with water. You drink too much water, it will eventually remove you from this planet. So, again, keep your wits about you. We don't want another situation, okay? Like I've been seeing for the past 5 years, or 8 years, really. But yeah, it really pains me to see that a bunch of innocent people who just want to be themselves, and frankly, I'm very comfortable dressing as a woman. Before I recorded this video, okay, I have looked myself in the mirror. I did look myself in the mirror, and at first I thought it was for sexual gratification. But as I look myself in the mirror, and as I look myself even further, it wasn't for sexual gratification. This was as I put on my clothes to represent who I feel on the inside, it wasn't what I've always thought. And thanks to Shy, she actually made me realize that, transgenderism and sexuality are totally two different things. Because that was the one thing that I was struggling too with. But get that to the second while I'm talking about my experience with putting on my outfit for today. To speak with you guys. It was never all about sexual gratification. It was not only, and I don't think it was just me representing the fact that I'm looking out for a woman that is kind of like me, who behaves like me, who I want to represent as a woman. No, it's turns out that it was a little bit deeper than that. I put on this dress with my boots on and, my usual chain, of course, and this hair and this makeup on, and the the other hosiery, the tights. I put those on, sheer tights, and I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I was just like feeling all this fabric all over me, and I was like, this is who I am. This isn't sexuality. This isn't fetishism. This is comforting, as well as exciting too, and very free, to say the least, because now I am feeling like I should have the entire time. I go to work in Texas wearing my male clothes, but every so often, I don't necessarily dress up all week. I do it like 2 times a week on the weekend, and it's very freeing. It's very liberating, and I just feel very comfortable. And it just goes to show that every time I put on any outfit of my opposite gender, not only do I feel happy on the inside, I also feel very discouraged. It's sad that I cannot be allowed to go out in public knowing that, especially in today's day and age, especially today after the Trump administration, that I cannot be who I am. I have to be closeted for another 4 years. And if J.D. Vance becomes the president, it's gonna be very more difficult because I have to stay closeted on the inside. I don't want to be closeted on the inside. The time that I've been, a transvestite, because let's be for real here, people. Okay, I take the original term of transvestite, even though I know today it's used as a derogatory term. Okay, but I'm old enough to say to you all that transvestite today is not how it used to always mean back in the day. Pretty much transvestite nowadays is used as a derogatory term to call people who cross-dress as ladies of the night. But really, realistically, it used to mean a person who is transgender But instead of going all out on the surgery and the hormones, they cross dress essentially. So I'm using transvestite in the original context before it turned into a derogatory term. So yeah, but before the whole debacle of the trans community being hunted down and hurt, and sometimes it's because of the trans person themselves, where they're just like they present themselves a little bit very promiscuous, to say the least, calling for attention. So for me, I have jeans, I have blouses, I have boots, I have high heel shoes, I have um dresses, I have skirts, leggings, pants, bell bottoms, that sort of thing. So I got a whole wardrobe, really, and it every time I put on like my what's it called, comforting clothing, when I get home from work, it just feels so natural. You know what I'm saying? It just feels natural, and I just like I go to bed in my guy clothes, and it takes me forever to go to sleep. But whenever I'm en femme, I just go to sleep faster. It's peaceful. It's very. It's a very euphoric feeling. So yeah, and it's disheartening that I cannot go out these doors anymore. Because I used to go outdoors in Texas. I really did. I used to go outdoors. But it has become increasingly volatile, especially since the law about arresting people for gender fraud. That's really what it is. It is gender fraud. And the bill didn't pass, obviously, because there are some people who have good hearts in the Texas Senate that didn't let the bill pass. But eventually, under the Trump administration, something like this, maybe even far worse, is going to end up passing. And it's going to make my life even harder. I'm 41 years old. I don't look 41. I honestly don't look like I'm 41. Okay, I look much younger than that. People have said that I look like I'm like 30, somewhere between 28 and 32 years old. Okay, I take good care of myself. Okay, even though I'm suffering a little bit of the return of my depression. A little bit. And it's just I'm at this point where it's just like I'm feeling lost. I'm feeling very, very lost. There are people who are trying to speak out for us, but they are the wrong people. And those wrong people have huge subscriber numbers. I'm going to be for real. These wrong people have huge subscriber numbers. But I'm listening to these little content creators. And I see what's going on. The real people of the trans community are being, in the YouTube algorithm, for lack of better terminology, oppressed. And you have these bigger content creators of the trans community who, like Samantha Lux and Blair White, they have this strange dynamic between them two. One of them obviously lives in Texas, while at the same time pretty much throwing their trans community under the bus in its entirety and deflecting blame, and is pretty much essentially freaking out at this point in time. With regards to the other one, well, she has a little bit of mistakes too as well. Albeit not as extreme as Blair, but it's a strange thing to see, really. And then we got the little people that are the real ones. And I bring those two up because they are very, in order to be a very popular person, you have to have, especially the trans community, people gravitate to these people because I feel very jealous that these are very attractive trans females. I do. I'm going to come out and say I feel envious and I feel jealous. Okay? People don't take me seriously, number one, because, well, my opinions, of course. Duh. But two, I'm not very attractive. I'm going to be real. I know I'm not attractive. There's some people in the trans community who are not attractive as well. Okay? They really are. And they're pretty much afraid to put their face out there. Because they know that they're going to get lambasted. But the VTubers themselves, they're just like, they stick to their guns. They're very visually appealing. I get that. And I'm kind of jealous. And which is also one of the reasons why, and I'll come clean with this, is why I even have a VTuber bottle on my other channel too. It's because I want to be visually appealing. So, it sucks. It's a shame that we live in a very superficial, that not a very superficial time. What am I saying? It sucks that there is a crowd of people that will support you if you are visually appealing. And it doesn't matter what your appealing, what your opinion is, or what facts you put out there. As long as you're talking and showing your cleavage and being pretty and beautiful and stuff like that, you're going to get increasing numbers. That's just the fact. That's just the state of the fact. And I really hate that. I really don't like hiding behind a VTuber bottle. But at the same time, I felt a little bit more open and a little bit more myself when I have that VTuber bottle. And, being a VTuber, it gives you a little bit more freedom than what you would usually do as a flesh tuber, of course. Okay. But for the most part, being a trans YouTuber or being a trans VTuber is kind of difficult. And it's probably because it's the content that I put out too. And mind you and me, the content that I put out probably is not agreeable to a lot of people. But I do realize that there are some people out there that speak for me when I've never asked them to speak out for me. These are the same people that think that on that Dr. Phil show they said, "Oh, for that guy that was dressing as a Mexican, it's that some of these people in the college campuses were saying it's very offensive." Yet you ask a person from Mexico who was wearing the same outfit that, "No, you look cool." It's very endearing. Because people like that goofy guy in the Mexican outfit, the Mexican people are saying, like, at least you're trying to understand. Okay? For those who are saying, who are fighting out for me, saying, "Oh, this person is a transphobe," all this other stuff, but it's just like a differing opinion, that's crazy. I don't need people like those that say that they're offended for me. I don't want you to be offended for me. I want to be offended by myself. Okay? I want to be offended by myself. I want to see these things. You don't think I'm smart enough to see the stuff that's going on out there? You really think that you're going to end up being my knight in shining armor and fight my battles for me? Hell no. That doesn't work that way. Never works that way. And it's these types of people that ruin the image of the trans community. They really are. And it also lowers the voices of the real trans people of my community. Since they did shut up when Trump came into the limelight, I thought to myself, this is a breath of fresh air. It really is. And I'm happy that there are people out there that are sane. I'm happy that there are people out there that are just like me. And it comes from two VTubers. Okay? It comes from two fucking VTubers. Like I said before, I have a problem with the third one. I have a problem with one. Okay? But as far as the other ones, they're cool. And the sadness hanging over my head is slowly dwindling away. The hatred that I felt toward myself for a number of years is starting to lift up. It really is. It's starting to lift up. And I'm honestly going to thank these two for making me realize that I'm not alone. And to some extent, I kind of feel like another creator called Rin Taichu. I kind of vibe with too. But it's really these two. And we need more people like them. Seriously, we need more people like them to show that the trans community is not monsters. And there's been a myriad of time where I was complimented. Well, like I said before, I was complimented. I went out. I looked good. People thought I was pretty. I was beautiful. I dressed the way I dress appropriately. I wasn't dressing like the lady of the night or something like that. It feels good. I feel good presenting myself as a girl, as a woman. I do. So, going forward, I'm still going to be posting content on this channel, but I might end up taking some time to figure out where the direction is going to go. Or how I'm going to present it. Might be a couple of weeks, it might be a month, but who knows. I just have to do a little bit more self-reflection. A little bit more self-reflection. And I will return once again. Regres que debache. And I'll see you guys later. And that's a promise. Will I still be the dark ruler of the underworld that's still making still making content being angry at some things? Yeah, I'll still be doing that. But I want to do it at the right people, in the right circumstances, and not throwing innocent people under the bus. Because I see now that's. I'm digging myself out of that hole. See ya.